everybody, it's Safi and Marco, dish out on the movies. Today we are talking about the sequel to Jingle All The Way. Came out in 2014. And it starred not Arnold Schwarzenegger, but Larry the Cable Guy. Didn't really know who that guy was. I thought I'd heard of him. Marco knew who he was. He's kind of like the antithesis of Arnold Schwarzenegger. But I think he cares more, well, I shouldn't say cares more for his daughter, because there was a little girl, he's divorced, his ex-wife has married another man who's got tons of money, doesn't have to worry about anything. He owns a company, a box company. And anyway, but they have he and his wife, they don't have a bad relationship. They have a really good relationship. And they both love a little girl. She's really cute. And but it seems like he tries to he spends as much time as he can with her. They have joint custody, and it's not like he's too busy like in the other one. The other movie, the guy was just really busy all the time, and he missed out on a lot of things. And this isn't the case for this person. He seems to, like, for example, they go ice fishing together and skating and all these things. So he tries his best to do as much as he can with her. So anyway, we do have, I don't know if Marco wants to start talking.
Oh, you want me to start talking?
Yeah.
This movie fucking sucks. It's a piece of shit. We knew it was going to be a piece of shit. It's one of the worst movies I've ever seen. It's one of the worst Christmas movies I've ever seen. Nothing's good about it. Nothing is worthwhile about it. It's terrible that we had to pay money to rent this movie because on the special website it was buffering, and so we couldn't watch anything.
It would have dragged it on for hours and hours, and it's not worth it.
Fucked it all up, and you get to this movie, and it's exactly what you fear. You got Larry the dipshit cable guy, probably one of the worst human beings on the planet, because he's such a fake, phony, stereotype loser. He's one of those people who just, like, all that his shtick is like, let's just make fun of people because they're poor, or they're from the South, or they're fat, or whatever. Like, his character is terrible. One of the worst character actors in history of humankind. This movie's like a pile of crap. With jingle bells on it or something. Like, it's just the worst thing ever. It's terrible. Everything about it is terrible. The child is terrible.
No,
Everyone's terrible. I
hate
everything. It feels like a Hallmark movie too. It's like, this is like, the first one was like an obnoxious comedy movie. I don't know how to describe it. Like an obnoxious comedy.
Loud, it was just over the top and obnoxious.
That tries to be serious at some points. But this movie was like a Hallmark movie that sucked. I mean, it was a lot like a Hallmark movie. The whole way through I was thinking, like, you know, if they had some shitty romance in here with this shitty Larry the fucking Cable Guy, then it would be a Hallmark movie, for sure. Because it felt like that a lot. Right, Safi?
I guess. It wasn't a Hallmark movie to me, but it was very understated.
Yeah.
I mean, compared to the other one, which was way over the top and loud and obnoxious and snarly and ugh.
It had no budget.
It was like just the opposite.
It's like, let's recreate things that happened in the first movie, but then recreate it in a really uncreative way, and also without, like, any money, and just, it's terrible. It's like, you know, there's so many other Christmas movies than this that, like, maybe they're low-budget Christmas movies, and they're really, really good, and we haven't watched them, and then you have this movie, and it's supposed to be a sequel to that classic movie. Like, regardless of whether or not you like the Arnold Schwarzenegger movie, it's a classic movie. It's a considered to be an iconic movie.
I didn't even know they had made a sequel either. I was really surprised. I never heard of it.
This just feels like a slap in the face, and it's another thing where, you know, these people, they get the rights to a product, to a franchise, and then they make a really shitty, lame version with hardly any money or any creativity put into it, and then that's the sequel forever. Like, this is the official sequel to Jingle All The Way. Got Larry the Cable Guy.
Yeah, there's nobody is in it from the previous movie.
White trash, stereotype, gross, ugly. You know, he looks like he smells terrible. Like, it's just like, I hate this character. I hate everything about it. I wish that this movie would die. I wish that this movie would fall into a fire and never come back. Like a Disney villain. I wish that everyone who made it would punch themselves in the face and then, never work again. Like, I hate it. Like, this is a movie where it's so bad. It's one of those classic bad movies. You know, there's a lot of bad movies, and they have a lot of people who defend them. Like, the newest Halloween movie. People claim it's a masterpiece and that nobody understands it because they wanted to do something different. And by different, they mean like plagiarizing Christine. Because apparently that's doing something different. It's okay if they're plagiarizing a movie and, just copying and putting it in a Halloween movie, but it's really something different. And so, but with this movie, this is one of those classic bad movies where everyone knows that it's bad. It's really not. There's no debate. This is a complete bad movie. There's no defense that you can use for this movie except if you're Safi and you have brain damage and you bonked yourself in the head.
Cut it out.
You got some sort of a mental issue. You got some sort of weird, I don't know, because Safi said it was pretty good.
Well, it wasn't obnoxious.
Oh.
It was just, it wasn't loud. It was just like you almost had to shut your ears to block it out, like the other one was. And it's really funny because, like I said, it was so understated. I mean, the other one you had all these, like, very well-known actors in it, male and female. And then in this one, it was so low budget, I don't think I recognized anybody.
Yeah, that's funny, too, is the fact that, like, whenever we watch these crappy movies, there's always that one person that we recognize. And in this movie, there wasn't any of that. So
I guess if you knew about who Larry the Cable Guy was, but...
Well, that's the only one, and it's like, that's not a real...
Since I don't know who that is, I didn't recognize
He's not even really a real actor. I mean, he did...
Isn't he like a comedian or something?
He's a shitty comedian. He's terrible. He's not funny. He's gross. He looks like white trash. He acts like white trash. Stereotypes, just terrible. Ew. Like, there's actual Southern actors and Southern comedians that are funny. There's nothing funny about Larry the Cable Guy. He is the male equivalent of a female comedian. You know, female comedians, they're some of the worst comedians in human history. You know, there are so many bad female comedians like Amy Schumer and, that one bitch who had a show and then that failed. And Larry the Cable Guy is the male equivalent of that. Like, there's nothing good about him. Even Safi can't even defend him. She hasn't even done the, I disagree! Yeah, she hasn't even done that yet.
No,
So
he's a stereotype.
Yeah.
You ever eat the way he dresses and...
I eat Twinkies for breakfast.
Yeah.
And I like to wear the same clothes all the time that make me look like a redneck who's fishing. Because I'm Larry the Cable Guy, and I'm really funny, even though nobody really... And he's not even a real actor. Like, the only thing that he's done of note, which I think this will surprise Safi, because
You know, she's a little slow, so she'll get surprised
Oh,
by
Marco,
the
stop
simplest
it.
things. He voiced Mater in the Cars movies,
Oh, yeah.
and I guess that could be something that he's very well known for. The thing is that was actually a good character because that wasn't Larry the Cable Guy.
That
You
was
know,
Mater.
so he was kind of like an instrument of the good script. And so the movie was good in spite of him. Because he's still trash.
We're talking about the movie Cars.
Yeah, well, I haven't seen any of the sequels, and I'm not going to either.
Yeah, well, why would you? You're an adult.
The second one was terrible, apparently. And then the third one, they turned the series into a feminazi movie. So it's like an agenda movie. So I'm not watching that one either.
I liked the first one. I thought that it was good.
It was okay. It's like dumb and brain dead Disney crap.
It's just different.
Pixar crap. You know, like it's just not really a note to me. Like I've only seen it like twice. I'd never watch it again.
I know that the cars that are in it are very desirable to buy and collect. So.
Your mom's desirable to collect.
Marco.
And so anyways, let's get into this movie, because like...
Well, it's pretty simple.
And let's talk about the villain of this movie, the real villain, even though Larry the Cable Guy, he is really terrible and unlikable, and he just makes everything suck. He just sucks the goodness out of anything. I'm so glad that he's not a part of my family, because I would avoid him like the plague.
The villain is the head of security for the new husband.
Well, and the new husband as well. The new husband of the ex-wife, who I don't know how she ever dated Larry the Cable Guy. They don't have any chemistry at all.
Not at all.
And it's weird because like they couldn't have at least hired an actress that could have been with both of them. Like there was no believability there at all.
No.
So, like, she kind of looked like a sister to him or something. Like, it was really weird. A sister character. Like an older sister.
I don't know how. They did mention about what their honeymoon was.
Yeah, he said that it was Sizzler and a movie.
Yeah.
So eating at Sizzlers and seeing a movie. You know, that's what I'm saying. This white trash stereotype shit. Really, really awful
and they
stuff.
contrasted that with, but they did it in such a way it wasn't offensive. I don't know how to describe it. The new husband took her on some kind of cruise and I think their yacht, and and so and all the things that go with that. So they'd just gotten back and they live in a big, kind of like a mansion. I thought it was a hotel.
The new husband
That's what it looked like.
He's the worst. At first I thought he kind of looked like the lawyer from Better Call Saul, you know, the friend of Jimmy's. But, you know, it wasn't him. It wasn't that actor. And I was like him, oh shit, who's this guy? I've never seen him before.
Never seen him before.
Probably for the best.
Never
because
seen her before either.
His character sucks. He's trying to buy the love of the daughter. And so he buys a $10,000 Christmas tree for the town. And then he even does this like cringeworthy snowball fight with her where he makes all this fake snow and then they can just throw infinite snowballs at each other because he makes it all and just stuff like that. And it's just so like not entertaining. Like nothing in this movie. This movie was like nails on a chalkboard. I got through it as fast as possible. Like even through Hell's Kitchen, when Hell's Kitchen went on commercial break, I would turn on this movie so that I could get it done as fast as possible. You know, that's his saying, you know, get her done. That's his famous, iconic saying. Like, that's just some hilarious thing. Like, you think about all the famous comedians of history. Like, you think about, you know, I Love Lucy, and you think about their iconic lines. and all that Larry the Cable Guy has to offer is get her done. That's his iconic comedic line. Like, that's fucking retarded. And this movie's fucking retarded. And so the story is even worse, too, because it's all...
very simple.
It's about Harrison, because she writes a letter to Santa Claus, and he opens it up and reads it. And there's this weird thing, too, where...
I didn't understand that. I didn't get that, what it was supposed to be, because it sure looked like the other.
Yeah. Well, the thing is that, like, there's this weird shit that they make up where parents aren't supposed to read their children's letters to Santa.
Or else the magic won't come true or something.
And that's just, like, the stupidest shit I've ever heard.
I don't know what that was either.
That's just, like, made up crap by these crappy writers who can't write. They probably got paid with a meal at Sizzlers. And so he reads the letter anyway, and it says, I want to have a... Or what does she say exactly? I want to have a Harrisone or something like that. Like,
that's what it looked like.
And so this toy worker at a toy store, he put together that she's talking about Harrison, which is
that was very probable.
The new
that's
bear.
What it looked like. That's what, and she couldn't.
Yeah.
She's young, and she doesn't know how to spell properly.
Yeah.
Completely, and
she's not going to learn with a father like Larry the Cable Guy either. You know, she's going to end up getting pregnant in high school and still
Marco, that is really ridiculous. Still
not knowing how to read or write.
Oh, for heaven's sake!
She'll just get her done, and you know, by get her done means get pregnant in high school.
Marco, that's just not right.
In Kentucky.
Oh my goodness!
You know.
Don't do that.
That's what they're doing though. Like it's this fake character. This isn't real. Larry the Cable Guy isn't a real isn't a real person. It's a character, and it's a piece of fucking trash. Like, if I could, as I said in the last video, if I could have a button that would erase one person from the human existence, Larry the Cable Guy would be in my top 5. Top 5 candidates. I would have to think about it.
Okay, well, anyway, so he thinks, because the toy store guy, and really, I thought it was that too, because he was at, the cable guy was at a diner, which is his place to go, knows the lady there, and he was with his best friend, and they had a commercial come on, and they said there was this very popular toy, of course.
And it looks like a piece of crap, too.
It's just,
it looks terrible.
It's a bear that talks. It says 300 things, and it talks back to you when you first talk to it. So it's very desirable. Everybody wants one.
Compared to the toy for Turbo Man, like, Turbo Man looks like the next coming of Christ compared to
Marco,
this Harrison Bear.
Ridiculous.
This Harrison Bear sucks. It's ugly and gross.
But it's an electronic.
And boring.
But anyway, they were advertising, and they had the reporter get on and said this was the favorite. This was the it toy, and they didn't notice the commercial. But anyway, so we saw it, though, and it said Harrison. So when when he gets that letter, he reads that letter, and then he goes to the toy store. Well, that would be the most, it made sense that would be what she was talking about, because it looked like it would be Harrison.
Yeah.
And so
the dad, he has his head of security buy out every Harrison bear in town and around everywhere, so nobody can get Harrison bears anymore.
To me,
I thought
that was unbelievable. So no child can have it?
That was really evil.
I thought that was terrible.
I was really upset with that.
I've never seen anything like that.
And I just thought
it was terrible.
There's no way this is a real thing here, but like they did that, and like I just couldn't believe it.
They created a false shortage.
Yeah.
And they even, at the end of it, when they had all these different things go on where he tried to get a bear, and each time the head of security knew that he was trying to get it, and he would thwart the attempt.
Yeah, they were sabotaging him, and let me just also say, you could take a shot every time in this movie where Larry the Cable Guy says, "Come on, Claude!" Because his friend's name is Claude. And so, like, I'm not kidding when I think he said this line about 50 times in the movie. "Come on, Claude! Come on, Claude!" Said that over and over and over again. And I was like, what the hell? And so some of the things, let's just talk about some of the things. I gotta say, we gotta start off and talk about the homeless thing, because that was outrageous. Like, Larry the Cable
up like
Guy.
A homeless guy, and
Yeah.
actually, it was kind of a nice outfit. I mean, if he didn't have all the hair,
He didn't even look homeless. He looked like he was in a play. Like he was playing a character in A Christmas Carol or something.
yeah, it wasn't that bad of an outfit, and didn't look dirty or anything.
Yeah.
It was like it was brand new, like he just bought it.
He had makeup on his face. It was so
like
phony.
A Carhartt. Actually, if anybody knows what Carhartt clothes are, it looked like a Carhartt coat.
He
like
looked
a winter coat and Carhartt pants.
He looked like someone you'd see at Walmart shopping there.
Yeah, well, whatever. So, if you were homeless, a kid, and you could go in, sit on Santa's lap, and he looked in the window, and he saw some of those bears, or one bear, or maybe more than one. I don't know, but those Harrison bears. So he decided he'd come in there and sit on a man's lap, and this guy's kind of overweight. So he was sitting on this guy's knee, and then the guy, he says, "I have this daughter, and I need to get her a present." So the guy gives him a doll, a girl doll. And he said, "No, I want that Harrison."
Now, I thought the doll that Santa gave him actually looked more interesting than the Harrison bear. Like,
Oh, no. It's just a different kind of
it just
toy.
looked more unique and real. It didn't look like a piece of crap. And you skipped over the fact that he saw this woman from high school or something, and,
Yeah, it was high school.
she was convinced that he was homeless, and it was so stupid with that. But I thought, though, he had more chemistry with her than he had with that woman who was supposed to have been his wife.
Oh, yeah,
And I was
sure.
really expecting for them to get together or something because of the way that this movie felt like such a Hallmark movie. Right?
No, it wasn't like a Hallmark movie. I've seen
Yeah, it
enough of
was.
No,
It had the feeling
no,
of like nothing is being taken seriously. It's not a real movie.
no.
It's
No.
like a movie made for babyish
No,
people.
They have a formula. And the formula is, it's almost like in the very first scene.
But they all have the same feeling, regardless
Yeah, okay,
of the
I'm
story.
sorry. I've just seen a million of them, and no.
Yeah.
No.
It had a Hallmark feeling.
Okay, well, we could agree to disagree, but it was very understated. It wasn't loud and obnoxious like the other one. We've already agreed. We have agreed to that.
It was still obnoxious because it's Larry the Cable Guy, and everything that fucker does is obnoxious.
Okay, so anyway, she thinks he is homeless, and she really feels bad for him, and she gives him $20. And he said, "Oh, I'll try this more often," but he was just joking. He said, "I don't want your money. I don't need your money." He told her.
And he took it, and he never even gives that money to a real homeless person either.
No, I thought he might do that when he
But
was in there.
he doesn't. He just keeps it so that he can buy more Cheetos and Mountain Dew and Hot Pockets and, I don't know,
Junk food.
your mom.
Marco.
So anyways,
So he sits on his lap, and he finally says, "I have to have the bear. She doesn't want that, and there's no bear in town because he's been to every place, and the head of security has bought out everything. Nobody can get it, and they even had a thing where he was going to be put on a wait list." So if his bear came in, the toy store guy would call him and say, "But remember, it's first come, first serve." So it was just like, Black Friday. They had a line of people outside a toy store because all these people couldn't get the bear. It wasn't just the dad. And guess who was the first in line? It was the security guy. So what did he do? He bought all of the new bears, and nobody got any of them. Just him. And Larry the Cable Guy looked over, and the guy had a truck, a box truck, and it was full of the bears. And he tried to get one from the guy, and he would give him $100 or something, and he wouldn't give it to him because he knew who he was. And he had been told by the stepdad to not let him get any. So he would be able to give the girl a bear and not the real dad.
And now Safi completely missed the part as well. After he got the bear from Santa, he went outside and there was this child who was paid to lie
From the security guy.
and pretend that he didn't have any presents on Christmas, and so
Actually, he did really good. The kid was probably one of the best. He did really good.
well, that's
was a really
saying
good
something.
liar.
He's
But I
one of the
wondered-
best actors in the movie. That's saying something.
I wondered about it though.
The 8-year-old kid.
How he just happens to show up.
Yeah, well, it reminded me of, like, this is exactly what would happen in these movies where you'd have someone who's like, I don't have any presents on Christmas, and then the main character is guilt-tripped into giving them their present
Right.
or whatever. Like, I was so glad that didn't actually happen, but still, it was terrible. It was awful. And then you have, he was chasing the kid around after he realized that he was lying. And the girl from high school, as well as all these people from a church, saw that, and then they started chasing him and saying that he should be put in jail for trying to steal that from the child. And it was so dumb.
Yeah.
This movie,
They tried to tell him other lies and they didn't believe them.
to give you guys an idea of what this movie is like, the American Pie movie series is phenomenal. And, the straight-to-DVD sequels, while not at the same quality as the regular movies, they did a very good job at making sequels, except for the Feminazi one that came out on Netflix, where they censored the female writers, so the female writers couldn't even be funny because they censored them. But the straight-to-DVD sequels were actually pretty good. And I could watch any one of those sequels any day of the week if I wanted to watch an American Pie movie. And this movie is like 1,000 steps below those movies, in terms of quality. There's no quality to this movie. It feels like it was made for the sole purpose of just making money off of this franchise, which it's not even really a franchise. It's a just so happens to be a classic movie. Safi?
Well,
Say more stuff.
I don't know.
Say
what
good stuff. Say funny stuff. Be
I don't
funny.
know what else to say. I'm trying to think of all the other things.
Well, is there anything worth mentioning?
I know. There's one thing with the bull riding.
Ugh.
They had this
More
bar.
white trash crap.
It was a bar, and they had a mechanical bull, and a man who works for the bar, he controlled the mechanical bull. And so all these men who wanted that bear, well, actually, there were other prizes, but I just thought it was the bear, and it was wrong. There were other prizes, too. Well, they have one guy, and what they got on the they got on the bull, and the guy, the employee of the bar, they all had to wear Santa suits too for some reason, which I thought was strange. And so he was on the bull for 6 or 9 seconds, and then they have one his friend, actually, the one Marco was talking about, he was on it for 1 second. But the guy was really laid back and easygoing, and wasn't like Larry the Cable Guy. I don't know how to say. He was a very moderate character.
This sequence was so lazy and it was so stupid because you think about, like, this is what we're getting in a movie. Like, you think about Jingle All the Way, you think about all the crazy things that happened. Some of them were too over the top, but still, they were so much better than this. And you think about what we get in this movie is essentially like something that you could see in like an Instagram page of like people riding a bull at like some restaurant or something. Like, there was just nothing smart or creative about it. It was just stupid and dumb, and I hated it.
So Larry knew, and then another guy came and he was on it for 22 seconds, which he did really. That was a really, really good sequence. I mean, he
really?
was able to. Well,
you like that?
No, I mean, he was able to do
You
it.
like that?
Nobody else
He
could
said,
do that. And
that's
so
a really good sequence.
Larry, the cable guy, said there's no way he could do that, which is true. At least he admitted it. So he had his friend put super glue on his butt.
And that was cringe.
Yeah, but they implied that as well. And so he put that super glue, and then he got on the bowl, and he was on it. How long was he on it?
31 seconds or something.
Well, he was on it more than the 22, so he won. But then when he got up, his pants, he got thrown. All of them were thrown eventually. And he was thrown off, and his pants stuck, of course, to the seat. And I thought he was going to get in trouble for that.
Yeah, because that was cheating.
I was really surprised.
I thought what was going to happen was that by being glued to the bowl, that he would get thrown off the bowl, and then it would rip off his pants, and he would just be on there with his underwear on. But they did show his underwear at the end of the sequence, and that was another thing that, like, another reason to not watch this movie is because nobody wants to see that disgusting person in his underwear. Like, that's just another reason to not watch this at all. Like, I know that Safi liked it because she's kind of gay for this kind of crap, these bad movies. But normal people, they don't like this shit. This shit is weird. Nobody wants this. This is a bargain bin movie. The bargain bin has better than this. Guaranteed.
Okay,
right?
Let's move on.
Right?
Okay, yeah.
Right?
Let's move on.
Haven't you seen better in the bargain bin?
This is when he gets the toy.
Right?
Well, let's see. What happens? He gets the bear. Oh, no, he doesn't get the bear. What happens is, like I said, I thought the only prize was the bear. Well, apparently, there was this trip for two to, Cancun or something? Some resort.
Yeah.
In Mexico, which was probably a really good prize.
Well, not for him. He doesn't have any person to go with him, so.
And he doesn't want it or need it. He wanted the bear.
Yeah.
And so he just didn't get it. And then somebody else got the bear because it was a second place prize. Larry the Cable Guy got the first place prize. That was the resort.
I would say the first place prize is to not watch this movie. That's the first place prize.
Okay, so.
And so by the end, let's just skip to the end because nobody cares about this fucking movie except for I don't know. There's probably some random old woman in the South who's
Marco,
like,
I really don't appreciate what you're doing.
I really like this movie
Marco,
because
don't do that.
Larry the Cable Guy is such a sweet comedian who doesn't use profanity or make sexual jokes. I really like how wholesome this movie is and how family-oriented this movie is, even though it's a piece of shit. There's gotta be someone out there who's like, I like this movie because it's wholesome and it's family-oriented instead of being, funny and comedic,
Okay,
like
let's
a
move on.
comedy.
Let's move on.
And by the end of the movie, everyone in town knows about the shitty stepdad and what he's done. And I felt like they should have done a Salem witch trial on him and, burned him at the stake.
Well, they were going after him. And what happens is, Larry found out too. And what he did was he sent him a box that was in the same size as the bear. And he hid and he watched him get the package, and he saw where he took it, and then you could see all the other bears in this big room. And so he confronted him, but when he starts taking a bear and leaving, he pulled the door handle out, and they were essentially locked into the room. Well, meanwhile, at the Christmas tree lighting ceremony, the reporter who's been doing investigative reporting about why is there no bears for people to buy, because it was just bizarre. Nobody could understand it. All these people wanted a bear, and they haven't been able to get it. And so, so she went up to the head of security, and she asked him who he was, and then she finds out that he's been taking all these bears for his boss. And it's all his boss's fault. And who's the boss? The boss is the stepdad. So all the people are mad.
And then Larry confronts him, and they have a fight in this room where he's keeping all the bears. And then they get trapped in the room together because Larry breaks the door handle. And it's the cringeworthy cliche thing where they're stuck in there so that they can learn to like each other. And then they'll get out of it after they get along. And it's like, ugh! You know, I've seen this a million times. Like, how many times have we seen that, Safi, where, you know, the characters are stuck in the room and they have to get to know each other and like each other, and it's like, fuck this shit. Like, make it so that, like, I don't know, just make it different and make it good. Like, nothing about this movie felt like they were trying to do something different. You know, Safi even admitted that it was cliche. And so they got along and they got out of the room.
He got out of the room because they got one of those, what is it called? The thing that picks up the mechanical thing, picks up the forklift. He got a forklift and they crashed through the wall. And so what they decided, and then he calls his wife, the step guy, and she said, well, there's a big problem here at the tree light ceremony. Nobody wants to see you. They want to kill you.
Well, they go to it anyway, and they did exactly what I knew what they were going to do. They handed out all the Harrison bears for free to the people in town. But what I was thinking was the fact that he purchased all these bears with the company credit card. And I was thinking about how, wouldn't that be an issue?
Yeah.
That he did that?
He owns the company, but still,
Yeah.
that would be a misappropriation of funds.
Yeah.
And, you know, when you do your taxes, how do you write that off? Is it a charitable donation? You know.
I guess that's what he would say.
I guess so. But then we come to the little clincher.
The little clincher.
They decide what was going to happen.
That's
was
fucking gay.
the little girl was going to spend the first part of Christmas, she was going to spend with her father. And then he was going to take her over to his ex-wife's house with stepdad, and then she'd spend Christmas with them. Well, he said, Larry said, because he cooks, which I was like, really?
Yeah,
And,
he cooks Cheetos and water or something like that's what he cooks.
They decided to spend Christmas together, so he's cooking turkey over at their house, and I'm like, I don't get this, because he says he's a really good cook, but then all we see them having is they go to that deli or the cafe or whatever, and then they eat junk food. And I don't see him cooking. I don't get.
You missed that part. There was a part where they were all in the kitchen. Oh, and then we should reveal the twist where it turned out that what the daughter was writing in the letter was, "I wanted my family together as one," which I call bullshit on that, because it didn't look like that at all.
It didn't. Well, no. It's funny because when you first looked at the letter, I mean, when he was cheating and trying to find out what she wanted, and you looked at the letter, it's like you think it looks like a Harrison or something. That's what it looked like that she wanted.
Yeah.
But then what Marco said is, and then you looked at the letter again at the house, and it said what he said. I mean, it looked like it. And it was neater, too.
That's because they put the words together with computer animation.
Okay.
They changed it. You
I
didn't
was gonna
notice that?
say, well, that's what I thought.
It was just making it so that you saw that, like, oh, wow, that's so clever. Not. And so then they're in the kitchen, and there's something burning, and Larry the Cable Guy takes this burned turkey out of the oven.
And it's smoking, and it's black.
And so then they agree to go out and get food, Safi.
On Christmas.
Yeah.
Was it Christmas Eve or Christmas Day?
And what I was confused was the fact that, like, so the only element here apparently that's ruined is the turkey, and they're gonna eat out for, like, the whole meal. Like, no other element worked. Like, because if you just screwed up the turkey, then you could just go out and, like, order, like, a new turkey or something like that, and then bring that home and eat it with all the other elements. Because, like, what about all the other things? Did he make anything else except a turkey?
Yeah, so
That was stupid.
they just kind of dropped that.
Yeah, because they suck.
Like I said, it was very light and very
Yeah, it's very light.
unassuming.
It's very light, like watery diarrhea.
Oh, okay, so anyway, God, I guess I'll give it my food review will be burned French fries. Maybe it should be a burned turkey, but I'm just gonna say a small pack of burned fries, because he goes out to eat at the like it's a diner.
Well, he always goes to the diner.
All the time. That's why I say I never saw him cook.
Yeah.
And I just have seen him, like they went ice fishing. She caught a trout or whatever it was supposed to be. I couldn't tell, but she caught a really good sized trout. And of course the wife, ex-wife and the new husband don't know anything about cooking fresh fish. That was at the beginning of the movie.
But they had a chef as well, remember?
Oh, that's right. They have a chef.
They have
The
a
chef.
chef.
Can do it. Yeah, that's right. I forgot about that.
So why wasn't the chef cooking on Christmas either?
Yeah, good question.
Yeah.
See, they just let that go.
They just can't handle writing a script that makes sense, even though it's like a simple family movie script.
So since he just eats junk food all the time and he burned that turkey, I gave it a burned bag of fries. What about you?
Ugh. Well, I've been looking forward to this because, we were going to do a Pop-Tarts taste test in the earlier half of the year. And so the first flavor that we got, the reason why it sparked or it was like an idea in our heads to do that is because we saw at the store Apple Jacks Pop-Tarts. And on the premise, that sounds like a great idea because, like, Apple Jacks, that's some of the best cereal, one of the best flavors that you can get. It's really delicious, even though it's simple and it's just, like, cinnamony goodness. Well, these Pop-Tarts are some of the worst things on the planet. Like, they're so artificial and gross. And the worst part is the icing on the top. I guess it's trying to seem like creamy milk or something, but it's terrible. And then the stuff on the inside is this really artificial, like, orange goo. And it tastes terrible, and it's the worst. So this movie is Apple Jacks Pop-Tarts. And that's that, because they're so bad. Like, those are probably the worst, or some of the worst Pop-Tarts I've ever had. So that's what this movie deserves. It deserves, like, a junk food like that. Because, like, when they made this movie, it was just for the sole intent of making money off of people who go on Amazon and they see, oh, look, there's a Jingle All The Way Part 2. Ooh. And then they buy it, even though they don't know that it's going to be that bad. And then they watch it and, they're like, oh, no, I just wasted all that money. that I could have used buying, I don't know, a good movie like The Black Christmas 2019. Right, Safi?
Boy.
Right?
Yeah.
Could buy that.
I'd like to see the new version of the Black Phone
That
when that comes out.
a sequel. That's a sequel, Safi,
Right.
not a remake. That's a sequel.
Well, this
It's
isn't
very
supposed
different.
to be a remake either. So
But you
anyway-
said the new version, and the new version implies that it's a remake or a reboot. There's a
Oh.
huge difference.
No. Anyway, so if you like this video, give it a thumbs up and tell us what you're watching. We would appreciate it. Become one of our subscribers. And that's it. So goodbye, everybody.
Bye!